Well, good morning, guys. I'm probably going to throw this on Tom's Tips. This is an unboxing video and just a video of this particular welder. I was using just a Harbor Freight cheap welder to weld up my sheet metal, and my wife got me this thing for my Christmas present. It's a MIG140 GS by Amico Electric. There's a bunch of stuff in here. Of course, the welder itself was in styrofoam. You got a couple big boxes here that had the electrode cables in it. This is a welder itself. It's pretty small. It's seems to be real high quality, not too heavy. We have our wire feed panel here. I'm trying to do this with one hand, but it looks like it's got a good solid transport mechanism for the wire. I looked at the dials and stuff here. It's got little mini switches, and they seem to be high quality. The dials here, I could feel that they're the rheostat inside there is pretty good quality. Haven't plugged it in or anything yet. We've got some big ends for the electrode holders. Here's the MIG tip, and looks like we got a little electronic controller. This goes into the front of the welder. We got a positive and negative for our grounds. This comes with 3 different setups. We got a MIG, a TIG, and also a stick welder. Each has a different setup and a plug. Now this particular welder uses 220 R110. You can see the adapter here. This goes from the 220 plug to 110. So this is one of the reasons I picked this welder. There's my torch and ground clamp over there. But I can plug it into 110 because I'm doing mostly sheet metal. I do have a 220 outlet, but it's going to be too far away from anything. So I'm going to fire this thing up first with 110. Here's one of the things I did like about it. And this is the ground clamp. It's got a good copper connection all the way around. It's got a seriously strong spring in here. And it's using a good braided copper connector and heavy duty brass clamp. So I was real impressed with this ground clamp itself, and the torch itself for MIG welding. Well, it's a pretty heavy duty item. You know, it's twice as big as my little Harbor Freight welder. That uses the same setup. You know, you've got a brass part here that let me see if I can do this one hand. Just a gas shield, and of course you have different size tips. This is a 30 thousandths here. I've got 23 thousandths MIG wire, which I'm hoping that this 30 thousandths tip should work on it. But anyway, it's a good solid heavy duty feeder. Clip seems to be, or the switch seems to be good and strong. So the torch itself is good, and there's about 6 feet of cable there. So far I'm really impressed with it. These look like really good connectors, and they should go into the machine easy enough. Well, in order to put it in, we have a screw that's going down into the end, and you can see got 2 O-rings on it. You screw this up so it's out of the way, and then the handle, or the connector, should go in there. See if I can press this in with one hand. I didn't really have it screwed out far enough, but it presses in easy enough. It's just the pressure of the O-ring. Yeah, see, it goes in flush, and then you screw this holder down. That locks it. The O-rings seal it for the gas, and I'll go ahead and put some wire in it here and plug it in and see if I can get it to feed through. Well, I removed the little protective cap from the control. This only goes in one way, and it's got a nut here on the outside, and looks like that's all you have to do there. This apparently is this is an electrode for one of these other things here. So I've got, it's marked positive, and they're not just painted on, they're actually cut into the metal, which is positive and which is negative. So then I put my ground clamp in here, and it's got a little end on it that fits into a hole. It goes in and turn it. It's locked good and solid. So this other positive, it has another big cable here for stick welding. I'm not sure what this one is. This is probably for the TIG welder, which it does have a cable for that. Up here on the controls, this has also a spool gun for welding aluminum. I don't have that, it's an extra one. So it's either switch to spool gun or MIG torch. What we've got here is MMA current or MIG wire speed. So it looks like 20 amps, 50 amps, 80 amps, 100 or 140. Well, there's no way I'm going to get 140 without 220 volts. So 50 amps is 10 foot per minute, 80 amps is 20 foot, 100 amps is 25, and 140 is 40 feet per minute. So this should be just basically changing my spool gun speed. Over here, this is the MIG voltage. It's got a -3 volts and a +3 volts, and the middle is 0. I'm not real sure how this works, but it looks like it's changing it about 6 volts from optimum or 0 setting, and there's their 0 setting. I haven't plugged this thing in. So it's got some indicators here. Lift TIG. I don't have a TIG electrode right now. I ordered some. There's flux 35 thousandths, MIG, mag, I guess that's metal, active gas or something, 30 thousandths, MIG 30 thousandths, and also stick. So it depends on, I assume, what you've got it hooked up to down here, which one of these indicators light up. So this is all obviously digital inside, but like I say, these rheostats, they are moving a little bit, but they feel solid and they seem to be adjusting very smoothly. So far everything seems to hook up good and solid. I don't really like this, having an electrode out here. I don't know whether it'll have power into it or not, but I'll have to get some kind of a protective device for that. I don't think I would be putting it into the positive side here. Possible. I haven't really read the instructions yet, but first thing I'm going to do is try to get some wire through it and plug it in. Well, I got it plugged in. This was wire speed control. It's telling me 28. I've got an indicator here for lift TIG. Spool gun is not really doing anything. So 100 and I don't know whether this is amps or what. There's if I put it on 50, 29, 80 amps is 54, 100 amps is 25, shows 82. I'm not sure what the deal is here. This MIG voltage, I change it, nothing's happening. It's showing right now that I'm on set for lift TIG. I think probably this thing does go in there, and this is what transfers the current from this lift TIG. I mean, there's my positive side. I'm just going to touch it real quick. It didn't do anything, but my gun now, I'm pulling a trigger, nothing's happening. So I would think that it would start feeding wire if it was set up right. So obviously I don't have anything set right. I'll have to do a little reading on the instructions and see how this thing is supposed to be hooked up. Alright, doing a little digging, turns out this thing right in the middle rotates everything around. So right now it's there's MIG 30 thousandths, mag 30 thousandths, flux 35, lift TIG, stick welder. So this is probably going to change the amperage. Yeah. So it's 100 amps for stick, 30 thousandths wire. It's going to 100. Mag, it's going to 100. Flux core 100. So this is really not doing much except either telling you your wire feed, but this is scrolling through what you want here. So I'm going to try, what I'm trying to get is MIG 30 thousandths. I've got my gun hooked up. Yep, now the spool is working. Kind of slow. Let's see if we can Change the speed to the high. All good. So now I can go ahead and then put me some wire in here and see if I can get it to run through the gun. Now what this is a Blue Demon, and this is 23 thousandths wire. It's supposed to be good for mild steel. I've got a 30 thousandths tip, so I'm going to load this up. I don't know if this is going to be. Well, ordinarily these rollers would have different channels in them for different size wire. Apparently the way this one works, it's got a little cam here that pushes that up for a smaller wire. So you can see right now it's not moving that wire at all. Turn it back to this side. Now it's feeding, so it's taking a 23 thousandths wire. Let's see how long it takes to come out here. You can feel it in the gun. Probably ought to take this tip off. Alright, I got it fed through. It was hitting my tip. I'll put this tip back in here. I see this, the wire feed's a little jerky. I think it's probably because I got that. See, it's pulsing. I don't know how much of this is because I've got this too tight. I'll loosen it up. Still pulsing a little. I've got on my highest speed. I'm going to run this down to like a 50 amp. Let's see how fast it's coming. Yeah. It's not really smooth. And I think it's because it's wire. I've got this tightened up as much as I can. So I think this, even though I didn't know what size to use for MIG welding, one guy on YouTube recommended 23 thousandths for sheet metal, said to use it for everything, but the rollers might not be really grabbing it. I've got really be careful I don't get this over there into the ground. It's really, that's at low speed. Let's run it up about half speed. Still pulsing. So anyway, I'm going to kind of take this apart here and see if there's some other setting. The book didn't really say anything about it. I'll reread that. But I think at this point that the pulsation in this thing is probably not going to make a good weld. Well, on closer examination, this is just a locking mechanism, and this roller does come out, and it's showing 30 thousandths right now, so it should probably say 35 thousandths on the other side. Let's see if I can get this thing out. Yep, that's what it was. Marked 30 on this side, 35 thousandths on the other side. So this is really only designed for 2-size wire. I got this 23 thousandths wire, so it's actually too small for the drive on this thing. But so I may have to do a little tweaking to make sure that this wire is being held tightly in there. I may not work on 23 thousandths wire. I might have wasted my money. I have plenty of 30 thousandths flux core, but I didn't want flux core. This is solid core wire. It may be possible to find another roller that will handle 23. 7 thousandths. I don't know. We'll try to see if I can get it work with this fairly smooth. Well, what I've done here is turn this little knob until it's actually contacting the wire and pressing it into the drive roller. Now it's feeding. So that's not the way it's supposed to be, but it's possible that I can get this to work like that. It's not going real fast, but I can feel it in the gun now. There it came through. It's coming out pretty smoothly, so maybe I can get away with using this wire. That's not the, obviously not the way that it's supposed to be. I'll check and see if it's possible to get a 23 thousandths roller. If I have to, I'll just go get some 30 thousandths wire. But I think it's probably feeding good enough now to at least try to get some kind of weld with it. I could also modify this this thing here so it'll press tighter on the roller. I'll just have to see what I can do there. I mean, I hate to throw the wire away. That's because I got 2 rolls of them. So we'll just continue to see what I can do here. Well, there's no way of modifying this. It looks like the this is actually going down as far as it go, and it's contacting the roller there. Let me try that again. No, it's not feeding at all, so it makes no difference how tight this is. It's not going to grab the wire. The only way that I can get it is to turn this thing, and you can see there that push the wire into the into the feed roller, and then it's going to work. Anyway, so it's not the way it's supposed to be, but I think it'll be good enough to at least test the welder. Who knows? This may work for quite a while, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna just get bigger wire. I thought the recommendations of 23,000 sounded right, so I'm not burning holes in my sheet metal. But this welder is designed for 30 and 35, so the feed rollers are not gonna handle this small wire.